Energy prices are exploding across America, but one new project just flipped the script. A massive offshore wind farm is now powering 350,000 homes, and Democrats say it proves the country doesn't have to rely on expensive global oil markets anymore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as this headline on the whiteboard proclaims, we in New England received welcome news on Friday that after years of hard work as well as massive investments by both the private sector and the government, a new reliable source of energy for our electricity grid was officially turned on. This project, known as Revolution Wind, will add 700 megawatts that will power over 350,000 homes in Rhode Island and Connecticut. At a time of tight supply and rising energy costs, adding hundreds of megawatts of electrical capacity is an obvious way to reduce costs rather than just offloading the burden onto energy users. This project is locked into a 20-year contract price of 9 cents per kilowatt hours at a time when the average price from other sources to the region's grid is 30 cents per kilowatt hour. Obviously, this is a beneficial response and a solid solution to address New England and our nation's high-cost economy. Even more significant is the fact that this power source is not at the mercy of the global fossil fuel markets that has skyrocketed the cost of home heating oil and gas at the pump since the start of the war in Iran 16 days ago. Home heating oil in Connecticut today is $5.10 per gallon, up from $4.28 just last week and $3.74 a gallon a year ago. Gas at the pump is going for $3.65 a gallon. A month ago, it was $2.90. Mr. Speaker, the men and women who have been hard at work at the State Pier in New London, Connecticut for the last 6 years, transforming a decrepit, underutilized dock into a state-of-the-art port that can handle massive cargo carriers, delivering enormous towers, blades, and the nacelles that connect the towers and the blades. Sensors are mounted on the nacelles to detect wind speed, which then moves the blades into the wind to maximize output. It is ingenious. Union operating engineers, electricians, and laborers kept this project moving forward despite the persistent hostile obstruction of the Trump Interior Department that issued 2 illegal halt work orders in 2025. The department's orders were soundly rejected by federal district courts in Washington, D.C. and Virginia. The department's unfounded claims that Revolution Wind posed a national security threat were decisively and swiftly dismissed, given the fact that the Department of Defense, in consultation with the Air Force, Navy, and Coast Guard, thoroughly examined this project and issued a permit in December 2024. Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record a letter dated December 13th from the Assistant Secretary of Defense, which found that this project will, quote, not have an adverse impact on DoD missions in the area.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, I think all of New England and the Mid-Atlantic states owe a huge thank you to Judge Royce Lambeth, the Reagan appointee who lived up to his oath and twice asserted the power of the judiciary, a co-equal branch of government, to rein in the administration's ludicrous, harmful abuse of executive power. As our economy is reeling today from the oil and gas aftershock of the war in Iran, the news this weekend that offshore wind can provide a reliable, affordable source of energy that is produced in America for American energy consumers is hopefully going to force a reconsideration of the attack on renewable energy by this administration and, unfortunately, my colleagues in the House that have legislatively crushed this industry, depriving American consumers of an affordable source of homegrown energy. Wind power alone will not solve our energy demands, but 700 new megawatts will be surging into New England is undeniable proof that our nation's innovators, our building trades union, and the merchant mariners are up to the job to power our country in the 21st century. I yield back.
The chair now recognizes the
What we just heard on the House floor highlights a debate that sits right at the center of America's economic future: how the country produces energy and why that choice affects everything from your electricity bill to national security. The congressman was announcing the launch of a major offshore wind project known as Revolution Wind. This project is expected to generate about 700 megawatts of electricity, enough to power more than 350,000 homes across Rhode Island and Connecticut. That's not just another infrastructure project. It represents a shift in how regions like New England are trying to protect themselves from volatile global energy markets. For years, New England has faced some of the highest energy prices in the country. Unlike other parts of the United States that have easy access to natural gas pipelines or large domestic oil supplies, the region has often had to rely on imported fuels. That makes the cost of electricity extremely sensitive to international events. When global conflicts erupt or fossil fuel markets tighten, energy prices can spike almost overnight. And that is exactly what the congressman pointed out. Home heating oil in Connecticut has jumped dramatically in just a short period of time. Gas prices have surged as well. These sudden increases are a reminder of how dependent energy costs can be on international events, including conflicts and geopolitical instability. The argument being made here is that renewable energy projects like offshore wind can act as a stabilizing force. Unlike fossil fuels, wind energy does not depend on global commodity markets. Once the turbines are built and connected to the grid, the cost of producing electricity remains relatively stable over long periods of time. In this particular case, the Revolution Wind project is locked into a 20-year contract price of around 9 cents per kilowatt hour. That's significantly lower than the current regional market price, which has been hovering closer to 30 cents per kilowatt hour. For consumers already feeling pressure from inflation and rising utility bills, that difference matters. But this project wasn't just about energy. It was also about jobs and American industry. The construction required transforming a once underutilized dock in New London, Connecticut, into a modern port capable of handling enormous turbine components. Towers, blades, and the massive nacelles that sit at the top of the turbines all had to be transported, assembled, and installed. Union electricians, operating engineers, laborers, and merchant mariners all played a role in bringing the project to life. This is part of the broader argument Democrats have been making for years, that the clean energy transition isn't just about climate policy. It's also about building new industries, strengthening American manufacturing, and creating good-paying jobs in the process. If you want more clear breakdowns of the political decisions shaping America's economy, energy system, and future, make sure you subscribe to Blue Voice. Share this video with someone who wants to understand what's really happening behind the headlines, and join the discussion in the comments.